Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar, which is being led today by Ashley Lutz Nelson. The Ashley works with the Snow Leopard Conservancy, which partners with local heroes, international organizations, and the communities that share their lives and spaces with snow leopards. They focus on innovative solutions that minimize human-wildlife conflict and build long-term foundation of peaceful coexistence. Now, quickly moving to today's topic, and let me put it this way that until very recently, we believed that zoonotic diseases are a concern of the tropics. Emergence of zoonotic diseases and the threats caused by them are, not something that's going to bother the high altitudes of Central and South Asia. It's only recently that some work and some research started revealing that how vulnerable these habitats are to emerging zoonosis, especially given climate change, given rapid infrastructure development, and given growing illegal wildlife trade. So in today's webinar, I think I'll leave it to Ashley to describe it. Sorry, I don't want to take too much time here, but I believe she's going to talk about the One Health, One Welfare initiative. It's a groundbreaking program using community-driven approach to address the interconnected challenges faced by both snow leopards and the people who share habitats. And yeah, with that, over to you, Ashley. And welcome everyone once again. So we'll do it this way. While Ashley is speaking, if you have any questions, please put those questions in the comments section. Once Ashley is done, I'll look into those questions and put them for Ashley. If not, you can also wait. Once Ashley is done, we can request you to come up and ask the question live. Over to you, Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christoph. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining, and special thanks to Rocky for coordinating this, and to Byra for having me as well. And thank you all so much for your time. I'm going to pull up my presentation. So today I'm going to be talking about Snow Leopard Conservancy's One Health, One Welfare initiative. And this is a relatively new initiative that was started in 2020. Of course, we had delays due to the pandemic, which I'll talk a little bit about, but it emphasized the importance of One Health, which is, of course, the intersection between human health, animal health, and environmental health, and how interdependent and critical it is for conservation and for all of us. I'm going to be talking a little bit about how this was developed in relation to SLC, Snow Leopard Conservancy, SLC, which I'll refer to as furthermore, as more broad initiatives in Nepal and throughout the snow leopards range. And so this initiative uses a holistic and interdisciplinary approach to snow leopard conservation. And I would welcome any questions you all have. Please do put them in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer any at the end, and hear also about your thoughts on how to proceed. So just a little bit about my background. I have an interdisciplinary background on the veterinary, animal care, welfare, and animal behavior side of conservation. I was working in zoological facilities and veterinary facilities prior to that, so pretty much my whole life on animal welfare and veterinary care. I was introduced to working with snow leopards. I've always had a strong focus on carnivores, particularly felids, in my careers working in AZA zoos in California and Florida, working with carnivores and felids, and been involved with the Felid Taxon Advisory Group, the Palace's Cat International Conservation Alliance, and really trying to bridge efforts between the ex situ and in situ side so that we can improve our collective effort for these species using a really 360 one plan approach. And so my first introduction to snow leopards was at the San Francisco Zoo. I was the assistant curator of carnivores there, and I had the pleasure of working with 6 snow leopards there that were part of the species survival plan, and helping our young snow leopard cubs and their mother throughout the first year of their life. And they had veterinary challenges. Really changed my life. And it's when I got introduced to Snow Leopard Conservancy. And I moved over to working with the Conservancy in 2020 when the world shut down, and have been there over 4 years now. And I'm just so honored to work with this species at population level and really focusing from an individual animal welfare standpoint, ensuring that every individual that we can protect individuals from the results of human wildlife conflict and retribution, and also really help promote guardianship and stewardship with the communities and helping them build long-term resilience and overall, improving the health of the ecosystems where these amazing cats live and protecting all of the species within that ecosystem. And so this is our snow leopard mother, Anna, that I worked with, and her adorable two cubs, Tika and Searing. I'm happy to report that they're doing really well as adults and happy to be part of the global species survival plan for the species. So just a quick overview of Snow Leopard Conservancy, as you all may know, was founded by Dr. Rodney Jackson and Darla Hillard and in 2011. And we have been working with local communities on coexistence. And so our primary goals are saving the lives of snow leopards from human-wildlife conflict. And as I said before, really truly working with the communities to become the guardians of their landscape and helping improve their well-being so that they can help protect snow leopards and other wildlife. And we really want to strengthen local institutions and collaboration between the institutions there, for overall sustainability, sustainable development, and of course, snow leopard conservation. And the goals of this specific program are, working on the health of the high mountain ecosystem. So we provide facilitation, training, co-financing, and technical support to our local partners working with their communities. And we also have several initiatives with Indigenous cultural practitioners, Land of the Snow Leopard Network, which will be featured on a separate webinar. And we have applied research that we blend with traditional knowledge as well, and really leveraging both as equal approaches to conservation. So we currently have programs in 5 different countries, and today I'm going to be talking about Nepal, specifically in Annapurna Conservation Area, Nepal. So I have to start by saying that explaining that we've been involved with the Darwin Initiative in these areas before I started working with Snow Leopard Conservancy. And so this initiative was from 2019 to 2022 with the overall goals of helping these high mountain communities in 2 different sites coexist with snow leopards, their prey, and their habitat, ensuring that communities and snow leopards there thrive. And hopefully by our intentions, by working with these communities, are creating successful models that can then be expanded across snow leopard landscapes in Nepal. And there's no one size fits all for each of these communities, but if they can learn what solutions work really well and learn from each other, we feel this is going to be one of the most effective ways at scaling up conservation efforts across the snow leopard range in this regard. So the 2 sites of this original Darwin Initiative were in Mount Everest region and in the Narfu Valley of the Annapurna Conservation Area, which the picture on the right is of the Narfu landscape, which is still one of the roadless areas in Annapurna. Takes a 3 days walk from the Manong district, from the Manong Valley Road, up to get to these communities, which are up near the Tibetan border. And if there's anybody from Nepal here, please let us know. So the 3 broad outcomes for this initiative are strengthening local government capacities for snow leopard conservation, strengthening local community capacity for the conservation of snow leopards, wild prey, and habitats, and increasing local incentives for conservation. And so overall, this initiative had a good outcome, and we had good foundations established, but there are, of course, lots of constraints, which also led to more opportunities. One of these being, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic. But as Gustav already said, what better way to have the world become more aware of the interconnection between zoonotic disease transmission and the vulnerability in these high mountain ecosystems. From tropical rainforest reaching the high mountain ecosystems, our whole world is interconnected, and the health of the communities and the animals in Asia also affects the communities around the world. And so we did have some constraints with this initiative, including the pandemics, lockdowns, travel restrictions, major constitutional changes in Nepal with infrastructure transitions, restructuring from a decentralization into district and then municipality level local government management. And there were severe weather challenges with landslides and flooding, and of course, food insecurity, with communities being up during lockdowns in their respective communities when agricultural practices were delayed and causing food shortages. So we did have to be very adaptive during this initiative. And there were some other challenges with identifying local citizen scientists, which is an ongoing challenge, but I'll get to that a little bit when we talk about the education component. So there's still much to do, but I wanted to highlight some of the outcomes from this initiative. So one of the first main outcomes we were hoping for is strengthen local government capacities for snow leopard conservation. Some of the main achievements with that were the creation of conservation governance and environmental safeguard manuals, and including the training of 234 local government staff on these are best practices and safeguarding techniques and best practices for local government involvement in conservation directly in their communities. The initiation of a Himalayan chives Jimbu project, which is an alternative income to tourism, given that COVID-19 disrupted the ecotourism in this area of the world and many areas around the world. And the veterinary component was to add veterinary training to government livestock agents and herders on common disease prevention and treatment, which is what I'm going to be talking about with the One Health initiative, and also helping rural municipality leaders streamline compensation for mass depredation incidences. And this was ever evident when one of the herders in the Fu community lost over 50 goats to snow leopard in one night. As we know, these mass depredation incidences do happen throughout the range. And this herder was able to be compensated promptly by working directly with the municipality, with the Narpabuma municipality, to ensure that there was no retribution. And this cat was able to be safely released from this corral. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about this as we go on. But this is one of the, understanding the drivers of these issues and helping the communities through the exact situations and helping these cats be safely released is one part of this One Health, One Welfare initiative. The second outcome for the Darwin Initiative was strengthen local community capacity for snow leopards, their prey, and their habitats. And some of the accomplishments with that was that the snow leopard census survey was completed in Manong of Annapurna, including Naarm Phu, but it had to be canceled in the Everest region, unfortunately, due to logistics around that time. The blue sheep and Himalayan tar surveys were completed, and the herders were trained on foxlight use, which are electronic solar deterrent devices, which have been helping to reduce predation in the communities where we work. And also doing a survey on compensation schemes and regulations around snow leopard attitudes. And this was completed. And so by working with our local partners that are local mobilizers and leaders in these communities, they work directly with the herders to understand, using an appreciative participatory planning and action process, getting all of the voices in the community involved to understand the level of tolerance and co-develop solutions together so that there's ownership from the beginning in the solutions and there's co-investment in the solutions from the beginning. And if you don't know, you might be aware of what foxlights are, but in an ideal world, we would have lots of predator-proof corrals throughout the range, but these can be very expensive, especially sourcing materials with border closures due to the pandemic and the materials availability in certain areas of the world, and especially in remote places in Nepal. And so one low-cost alternative we've been working on throughout the air countries where we work are providing foxlights to herders, and herders are asking for more. And these aren't, one-size-fits-all solution. They do need to be used at hotspot times and moved around and maintained so that the snow leopards do not become habituated to it. But we do know that they are working with the communities and if they are used properly. And so we're trying to get more of these foxlights distributed throughout Nepal and throughout the range. And the last outcome was strengthen local incentives for conservation. And two of those accomplishments for the Darwin Initiative were high-end ecotourism established in Manong Valley, and this is with Tashi Gali and Rinsen Funjuk Lama, and having 2 tourist groups visit as early as possible as soon as the pandemic restrictions lifted in late 2021, 2022. And capital that was contributed to local conservation efforts through that initiative and ongoing through ecotourism. And then also the local government co-financed Jimbu project, which is in the works, and we're working on market chain we're working on getting it from the food community into with conservation branding, and then getting it into Kathmandu for trade. And this is a Himalayan chive that's particularly tasty in the region of Narfu, and it's not been growing because of the land degradation there for many years. And so restoring this valuable crop that's able to be cultivated and distributed to market, and it's going to be able to provide income to the communities in absence of a volume of ecotourism, and help to offset depredation losses. And this is what the Jimbu looks like. And this is currently being piloted and branded for conservation, and we'll be bringing money into the communities. And I'll be talking about this next with the next Darwin Initiative grant that we received to continue this work. And so understanding the level of household tolerance of snow leopards and wolves, I'd like to, highlight wolves here as such a, wolves need our help as well. There are so, our work as with the Snow Leopard Trust and other organizations within the Snow Leopard Network, of course, doesn't just expand to snow leopards. It expands to all the species in this ecosystem. And so wolves are far more persecuted than snow leopards in many of these areas. And so really trying to understand the level of tolerance as a baseline, and using that as an evaluation key as interventions are introduced throughout these conservation programs. And Dr. Johnny Hansen's results, the paper that he published this is from his work in 2019 and 2020, indicate that most of the household losses from the most important reasons for the livestock losses, sample size of 272, is that snow leopards were cited as the primary cause of livestock mortality in this study at 31.1%, followed by disease, 22.8%, other predators, which include wolves and common leopards, 17.6%, accidents, 12.1%, bad weather. We've had stochastic events with weather and winters lasting longer with climate change and unpredictable weather seasons. And so weather is at 9.6%, and then miscellaneous or other at 4.8%. And so overall, based on ranking data, snow leopards cause fewer but more harmful predation incidences in the last 12 months than wolves. And even with that, that does account for those mass depredation incidences compared to wolves. But attitudes are more favorable toward toward snow leopards than wolves. And so we definitely want to expand our work to be more targeted to help wolves in this initiative as well. And so the One Health, One Welfare initiative was started when I was still based at San Francisco Zoo as a collaborative partnership between Snow Leopard Conservancy, San Francisco Zoo, and a local NGO based in San Francisco called International Veterinary Outreach. And Dr. Eric Eisenman, the founder of International Veterinary Outreach, and I are the co-directors of this program. And so with our partner, Mountain Spirit, Dr. Sailandra Taikali, who's one of the members of Mountain Spirit, we were able to do an initial study with the herders in the communities on livestock health and understanding some of the diseases that are in this area and the concerns to the communities for public health. And so Animal Nepal is a local NGO in Nepal, which is a veterinarian welfare organization comprised of veterinarians and paraveterinarians that work on domestic animals throughout Nepal. And they work on improving welfare of working mules, working equids, and dog sterilization and vaccination campaigns, and they were brought on as a partner in the second phase. So for the first phase of the program, we were able to do a study on livestock health and go out and do some workshops in the communities. And so first, before we get into that, I wanted to just go an overview of what One Health really means. What is a One Health approach? So, One Health recognizes, as we've already indicated, the interconnection and interdependence between human health, animal health, and ecosystem health. And so we also have other sectors working in sustainable development and on human justice and on human rights and inclusivity, equity, and access. And so we have regional, local, national, global partnerships, and then we have different sectors working in the human, animal, and environment. And so One Health is about bringing these sectors together and forming collaborative partnerships. It involves coordination, capacity building, and strong communication. And this is a long statement, but I wanted to provide it as, this is the One Health high-level expert panel as defined what One Health is. an integrated, unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of people, animals, and ecosystems. It recognizes the health of humans, domestic animals, and wild animals, plants, and the wider environment, including ecosystems, are linked and interdependent. The approach mobilizes multiple sectors, disciplines, and communities at various levels of society to work together and foster well-being, to tackle the threats to health and ecosystems while addressing the collective need for clean water, energy, air, and understanding that these are all contributing to sustainable development. Now, what is OneWelfare? OneWelfare recognizes that animal welfare, biodiversity, and the environment are connected to human well-being. So food safety, separation anxiety, domestic violence, homelessness, there's all of these things, socioeconomical issues, sustainability, these are all the umbrella of under OneWelfare. And without working on these different aspects, they become imbalanced and we're not able to achieve our overall goal, which is to improve the well-being of humans and animals in the ecosystem. And so our overall goal for this initiative is to improve the health of the people, animals, and wildlife living in Nepal's snow leopard landscapes. And this is a pilot initiative working in the Narfu Valley specifically, and helping the pastoralists in this area improve the health and reduce the zoonotic disease transmission between people and wildlife. As many of the areas of the practitioners with the Snow Leopard Network know, that the communities living in these areas completely rely on their livestock as their primary livelihood. And so these are yaks, cattle, zoos, cattle crossbreeds, goats, sheep, horses, mules, and donkeys in some areas. And so these products are completely vital to the family's income and livelihood. Now, when we did the survey, we had a small sample result. So this is just descriptive statistics, but this is a small sample size of herders in this area. And so there's only 10. And so I'm just going to quickly go through here to highlight some of the major findings that we found, which is how we tailored our workshops around going to the communities in the original seminars in the first phase. Now, for yaks, I won't go through each species, but just as to highlight yaks and horses as two of the most considered valuable species that the domestic breeds that the communities work with. The most common health issues: pain, injury, lameness, 40%, wound infection, and that could be as a result of minor predator attacks from wolves or jackals, animals that do survive these attacks but then die from sepsis later. And for horses, of the horses that, the common health issues, some of the local language uses, blood clot and cold. And so really trying to get down to the understanding of what these issues are, which after speaking with the communities and working with the paraveterinarians in these communities, we found it to be more of an issue with colic and not resting during long durations of transportation between 1 to 3 days journey between the road and the Narfu communities. And so as far as veterinary care and treatments, there are paraveterinarians, junior technicians assistants that are assigned to each of the communities in each Gaunpalika, in each rural municipality. And so they're able to, consult with some of their local traditional healers for homemade treatments. But we found that there is a lack of veterinary support in this area, with only one veterinarian assigned to the Manong district, and it has been very difficult for them to have a strong presence in that area, and for the junior technicians and their assistants to be able to get advice and supervision over antibiotic use and treatments. And we also learned that they're not able to use any anesthesia for any procedures such as castration or for surgery. And so we wanted to make sure that this is something that is identified as a priority to the community. And so for future intervention, everybody 100% said yes, that they wanted more support with veterinary care for their animals. So in 2022, we had a team that consisted of International Veterinary Outreach founder, Dr. Eric Eisenman, Dr. Sailandra Takali, and the local paraveterinarians in the area and the rural municipality leaders. We traveled to the communities to host a series of initial seminars and discussions with the communities on priorities and understanding surrounding One Health concepts. And coincidentally, there was a COVID vaccine booster clinic happening in the communities a mobile clinic happening the very same day. And so there's a great interconnection there with understanding the need for vaccination. And it brought to a really good discussion. It brought us a really good discussion point with the communities on preventing disease transmission, particularly with zoonotic diseases like COVID and brucellosis and glanders and rabies and some of the other diseases in this area. And so in the series of seminars, we were hosted, and this was with local rural municipality, that would be the Narpabuma community leaders. And this is Bikesh, who is one of the paraveterinarians in the community, junior technicians assistants, and then the representative from ACAP's Snow Leopard Conservation Committee. And so we brought the herders into the workshops, and we were discussing different aspects of livestock depredation interventions. And so talking about foxglide use and following up on some of the interventions that had already been done during the Darwin Initiative. And so really trying to understand what the animals are experiencing and what the biggest concerns are to the community. And so understanding from the survey that we did that that gastritis was one of the enterogastronitis is one of the biggest concerns and for diseases in the animals. So providing supplemental care through something like using oral rehydration salts can save a neonatal animal's life, and it can also save a neonatal human's life. And so focusing on wound cleaning, bandaging as well to prevent sepsis from minor attacks, from minor injuries or minor attacks from predators were two of the aspects that we focused on in showing practical techniques to the communities with supplies that are available in their area to use. And understanding what vaccinations, when we went there in 2022, we understood that they had just started their vaccination program for several of the main diseases that are in this area. And one of those big concerns is, of course, rabies, as transmitted primarily through dogs, feral dogs in this area. And there are several other diseases that have become more prominent in the more recent times. But so since 2022, many of these vaccination programs have become so much more robust, with most of the livestock being vaccinated annually in the area. And so it was important to make that connection that Bikesh and other junior technicians assistants are invaluable resource to the communities as a frontline veterinary worker for them. And so there hadn't really been as strong of a connection before that. And so the role of these junior technicians and junior technicians assistants as the frontline workers for preventing zoonotic diseases and improving human and animal welfare in this area, we identified that training with these individuals would be an important aspect. And understanding, welfare practices for the working equids and horses, in particular in this area, since they're not able to often use anesthesia for their procedures, the restraint techniques are also can pose a risk to the people that are restraining the animals' safety. So we wanted to make sure that safe handling techniques and welfare practices are shared as well, so that they understand that there are different ways and additional alternative ways to safely handling some of these animals to keep people and the animals safe. And so working with the Narpabumi Rural Municipality, we discussed a lot of the findings from these workshops and discussed our next steps together. And this is a new rural municipality that, as you can see here on the emblem here on their crest, they're committed to snow leopards and blue sheep, and there's a lot of pride for ecotourism and Yarsagumpa and their wild yaks and their animals. And so this area is a really special part of the world that the communities there, are really wanting support with predator proofing techniques and improving health and discovering different income opportunities. And so we have a great partnership with this community. And so the second phase was really built upon that, which I'll get to next. The other component was when we went on the reconnaissance trip for the pilot program, was building bridges with veterinary and welfare institutions in Nepal. So that's the Agricultural Forestry University, which is one of the veterinary schools, as well as the Himalayan College of Agricultural Sciences and Technology, and Nepal's Veterinary Association and Tribhuvan universities, and really bridging research, zoonotic disease research, animal welfare, different aspects of veterinary medicine and working with the local zoo at Kathmandu Central Zoo, the National Trust for Nature Conservation vets and staff there, on developing what the next phase of this program looks like based on what they need help with training and building their veterinary resources in this area of the world. And so the overarching goals for this program are to strengthen institutions in partnership, local, national, and global. Build up the paraveterinarians' capacity so that they have the resources and experience that they need to be the first line responders to the communities, not just for animal health and diseases, but also for conservation and to help with mitigating human-wildlife conflict. We wanted to provide direct veterinary care to the herding communities and also humane education for herders to improve animal welfare on those safe handling techniques, make sure they're keeping animals and the people safe that are working with them, and providing education for herders on best practices for husbandry to protect from weather and make sure that they have the understanding to protect from predators, and education about snow leopards and ecosystem conservation, bolster their knowledge about interventions and how they can be part of that. Zoonotic disease research was a component with Tribhuvan University. We did a grant program for some of their students, their graduate students, to do surveys in the Annapurna area on the knowledge of zoonotic disease transmission, and we're pending those results now as baseline survey. And then training snow leopard conservation committees on these snow leopard interactions. So if you have a snow leopard that's stuck in a goth, and making sure that they have the knowledge and around how to try to safely let these snow leopards, try to safely get the snow leopard released from these goths without injury to both people and animals. And then the next phase of this program also includes some training for the rehabilitation and long-term care of wild felids that are coming into Kathmandu Zoo and other zoos and rescue centers in the Himalaya as a result of human-wildlife conflict. And so we teamed up with Animal Nepal for the next phase of the program. And so we went out in 2023 in September of last year, and we trained, this was a coordinated effort in the whole Manong Valley. And so with the 5 different rural municipalities, they sent their junior technicians and junior technicians assistants for 3 days curriculum training on these different aspects. And then we did 5 days of animal health clinics where the paraveterinarians were able to get direct experience on preventative medicine for the domestic animals in this area. And so this included hoof care, dental care, vaccinations. It included an overall physical exam, welfare assessment, included hoof care, included castration in some cases. And so we were able to work with 13 of these individuals, and we were able to also work with the Snow Leopard Conservation Committee, the CAMC members as well, that came to talk more about solutions with livestock insurance and compensation schemes, which is part of the Second Darwin Initiative. And so we did have we had a good mix of skills and experience with the local community members that serve as this very important function for their community, really, as the first line responders to prevent zoonotic disease transmission in this area, which affects, of course, people and wildlife as well. And as part of the program, we did a dog vaccination program. We did not have a team to also do dog sterilization. That has been done in Manong Valley, in particular villages, by the Himalayan Animal Welfare Trust. And so we are exploring working with them as well on further steps to vaccinate and sterilize the dogs in this area, because we do know that canine distemper virus is prevalent in Annapurna Conservation Area. And I'll talk a little bit about more of that in a minute. And so one of the things that we were able to do with anesthesia, being with the Nepali vets, is that we were able to demonstrate a horse castration under anesthesia. And the Animal Nepal team is committed to going and providing resources to these communities through clinics in the future, and being able to help use this as a best practice for castration. And so some of the overall achievements for this second phase is that we facilitated an 8-day training program, which comprised of didactic and clinical workshops in Manang Valley tailored for the 14 paraveterinarians. And these veterinary services were provided in Koto, Chame, Pisang, Braga, and Manang. And over 248 animals were examined and vaccines were given, and parasite treatments, castration, and other wound care and other treatments took place. And so there was a report with recommendations to all the local and national stakeholders, which included Department of National Parks, Wildlife Conservation, Annapurna Conservation Area, wildlife officials, and the local community, the local municipality leaders, the district livestock officers, and of course the junior technicians and junior technicians assistants on their advice on the next steps, because we really want this to be we have recommendations based on the collective knowledge of the One Health, One Welfare team and what we learned over the course of our time together on next steps, which include focusing also on the prevention of the spread of the canine distemper virus. And so we really do want to encourage co-financing and co-development and co-coordinating so that we can do a valley-wide dog sterilization and vaccination campaign in addition to these livestock clinics, because this is a major threat to snow leopards in this area. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But I do have a video to show a little bit of the work to let me stop talking for a second and give you a little bit more of insight into the impact of this program for the individuals that participated in the program, the paraveterinarians, and the herders themselves.
नेपालको दुर्गम हिमाली जिल्ला मनाङ, जहाँ मानिस र जनावर बीच एउटा अन्तर्निहित सम्बन्ध भेटिन्छ। विकट हिमाली भेग भएकोले पनि यहाँ ढुवानीका लागि घोडा तथा खच्चरहरूको प्रयोग हुने गर्छन्। कृषि र अन्य प्रयोजनको लागि अरू जनावरहरू। जीवन बाँच्नका लागि मानिस र जनावर एक अर्कोमा निर्भर रहँदै आएकोले पनि यहाँ उनीहरू बीचको अन्तर सम्बन्ध बेग्लै र गहिरो रहँदै आएको छ। यही गहिराइका कारण जनावर बिरामी हुँदा त्यो रोग मानिसलाई सर्ने र मानिसको रोग पनि जनावरलाई सर्ने समस्यासँग यहाँका स्थानीयहरू समय समयमा जुझिरहेका हुन्छन्। घरेलु जनावरहरूले वन्य जन्तुहरूसँग प्राय सरुवा रोगहरू सार्न सक्ने हुन्छ। अर्कोतर्फ यो ठाउँ विश्वमै लोपोन्मुख अवस्थामा रहेको हिमचितुवाको पनि अनुकूल वातावरण भएको वासस्थान हो। हिमचितुवा आफ्नो आहारका लागि समय समयमा घरपालुवा जनावरहरूलाई आक्रमण गर्ने हुँदा पनि यहाँका मानिस र हिमचितुवा बीच लामो समयदेखि एक किसिमको द्वन्द्व रहँदै आएको छ।
अस्ति पनि यही मनाङमा आएर हिमचितुवा आएर खाइदिन्छ।
2 वर्ष भएको गाईको बच्चा 2टा खाइदियो।
तर मानिस, घरपालुवा जनावर र हिमचितुवा बीचको त्रिकोणात्मक सह-अस्तित्व भएको साझा वासस्थान हुँदा यहाँ सबैले बाँच्ने अनुकूल स्थिति हुनुपर्छ भन्ने पनि नीति रहेको छ। त्यसैले पनि वन्यजन्तु संरक्षण, पशु कल्याण, मानिस र वातावरणको स्वास्थ्य संरक्षणको विषयमा एकीकृत रूपमा सम्बोधन हुन आवश्यक छ। यसै विषयलाई मध्यनजर राख्दै विभिन्न सङ्घ संस्थाहरू जस्तै स्नो लियोपार्ड कन्जर्भेन्सी, इन्टरनेशनल भेटरिनरी आउटरिच, आइभोए, एनिमल नेपाल, माउन्टेन स्पिरिट जस्ता संस्थाहरू घरपालुवा तथा जङ्गली जनावर, मानिस अनि वातावरणको स्वास्थ्य कसरी सुधार गर्न सकिन्छ भनेर वन हेल्थ वन वेलफेयरको अवधारणालाई अघि सारिएको हो। कार्यक्रमले स्थानीय पारा भेटरिनरी पेशेवरहरू, जेटिएज, एक्याप, संरक्षण क्षेत्र व्यवस्थापन समितिका सदस्यहरू, सिएएमसी र हिमचितुवा संरक्षण समितिका सदस्यहरूलाई एकै थलोमा राखेर तालिम प्रदान गरेको थियो।
यहाँका प्राविधिक साथीहरूलाई जसरी तालिम दिइयो, त्यसबाट एक त हाम्रो साथीहरूले प्रविधि अनि त्यसपछि आफ्नो स्किल चाहिँ बढाएकै छन् र सँगसँगै यहाँको किसानहरू पनि लाभान्वित भएको मैले चाहिँ महसुस गरेको छु।
जसमा जनावरको स्वास्थ्य जाँच र उपचार गर्ने तरिकाहरू, पशुपालन र संरक्षणका उत्तम अभ्यासहरू, जंगली जनावरसँगको जोखिम कसरी न्यूनीकरण गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने उपायहरू, यहाँको प्राकृतिक इतिहास, जीव विज्ञान र इकोसिस्टममा हिमचितुवाको भूमिका अनि वन्यजन्तु संरक्षणले हामीलाई हुने फाइदाहरू समाहित गरिएको थियो।
पहिला पुरानोमा हामीले गाउँकै जडीबुटीहरू लिएर अब हाम्रै स्टाइलले गरिन्थ्यो नि, यहाँ नयाँ नयाँ तरिकाहरूबाट सिकाइँदो रहेछ त्यही चिजलाई। अनि मान्छेलाई जसरी हामीले स्याहार सुसार गर्छौँ, गाई बस्तु जनावरहरूलाई नि स्याहार सुसार गर्नुपर्ने रहेछ, खानपान राम्रो दिनुपर्ने रहेछ भन्ने कुराहरूको त्यो भयो।
यसै क्रममा यहाँको विभिन्न स्थानमा पशु स्वास्थ्य शिविर सञ्चालन गरिएको थियो।
आज यहाँ बन्दीकरण गर्यो, अनि कीटाणु सुई, भ्याक्सिन, अनि त्यसपछि रेबिसको सुई राख्यो, जुम्राको।
पहिले हामीले चाहिँ गर्नु गरिन्थ्यो, त्यस्तो स्टेथोस्कोप लाएर तपाईँको होइन हार्टबिट हेरेर त्यस्तो हेर्ने सिस्टम थिएन। अहिले जस्तो थाहा भयो हामीले स्टेथोस्कोप लाएर के हेर्नुपर्ने रहेछ, पुरा घोडाको बाहिरी पार्ट हेरेर जस्तो उसलाई के भन्छ भन्ने कुराहरू थाहा भयो।
जस्तै हामीले सिम्पली प्र्याक्टिस गरिरहेछौँ, तर अहिले यहाँ आएर चाहिँ हामीले एकदम डिफ्रेन्ट के जुन अब हामीले सिक्ने नै नसक्ने अब लेभलको हामीले एउटा सिक्न पाएको छौँ।
एकदम खुसी म त, मैले सोचेकै थिएन यस्तो। अब खै घोडा पनि आफै सुत्ने होइन, अब आफै लट्यो, अब एकदम आनन्द। आज जस्तो मलाई सजिलो कहिले पनि भएन। जस अहिलेसम्मको 15-20वटा मैले गरेकै हो घोडाहरू, जस आजको जस्तो सजिलो मेथड चाहिँ भएन।
Providing such kind of training to the society, it will aware both animal and conservation, because when we help the animals' health, then it will more focus on the conserving the wild animal life also. It is interrelated.
यस्तो खोप कहिले लागेन, आज फर्स्ट टाइम लाग्छ मेरो खतरा 31वटा खतराहरूलाई।
Another challenge we face here was the terrain, because when the animal are sick, it's very difficult for them to bring the animal to the clinic or animal hospital, even it's available here.
पशुधनको स्वास्थ्य र राम्रो संरक्षण गर्न सक्यो भने हामीले हिमचितुवाको पनि संरक्षण गर्न सक्छौं। अर्थात् समग्रमा यसले हाम्रो सह-अस्तित्व र वातावरणको पारिस्थितिक प्रणाली संरक्षण हुन पुग्नेछ। यही नै विभिन्न निकायहरूको सामूहिक सहकार्यको साझा उद्देश्य थियो।
Okay. So we're looking at the next phase of this program, and we're continuing to work with the paraveterinarians that participated in the training and understanding how they valued the program. And we've done a survey and really going through the evaluation with them. And we've also started a WhatsApp group to continue the conversation with them about depredation incidences and questions that they have on veterinary advice. And so this is in collaboration with the District Livestock Office, and we're so grateful for this program to have been hosted by each of the rural municipalities and have the support of the veterinary leads there. And we're just trying to offer additional, support to this area while, build more of an infrastructure for veterinary care and One Health. And so looking at the next phase with Animal Nepal and Mountain Spirit and International Veterinary Outreach, one of the main things that's really calling our attention is the issue of canine distemper virus in Manong Valley. Based on the study that was done and published on canine distemper, we know that it is prevalent in the valley. And this is one of the biggest threats to the Panthera species, of course. This is an RNA virus related to human measles, which affects carnivores. And it's reservoirs, dogs, and we know that this is fatal to all Panthera species. And with the approximately 300 to 500 snow leopards in Nepal, this could be this is a major threat to the whole population. We do know that snow leopards are eating the dogs, and then they have direct interaction with them, and so focusing on a range-wide sterilization and vaccination campaign is one of the main focuses for this. And we're with one of our geneticists that's affiliated with Snow Leopard Conservancy, Dr. Yanunechka, going to be doing a study on disease surveillance in the Mustang area and looking at what diseases are actually spilling over into the wildlife population so that we can do more targeted vaccination campaigns in those areas and make sure that we're understanding the epidemiology of these different diseases and how they're affecting wildlife, and with particular interest, of course, to snow leopards and other very vulnerable species. And based on some of the camera trap images that we are getting back from our partners in other areas of Nepal, we do know that, with mange, there are a lot of other diseases that snow leopards that, we without field diagnostics or a lab that's anywhere near being able to study what's happening in real time, we're trying to build the capacity and of different organizations working in veterinary medicine and conservation in Nepal, so that we can understand these diseases and make sure that we get ahead of these threats to snow leopards, because without those diagnostic tools, we're not able to truly understand. And so that's the next step of the program. And that might include also in the future training some of the junior technicians and junior technician assistants in Mustang on a similar program. But we're going to be getting the feedback from all the stakeholders before deciding this next phase. And there's this program is operating independently but concurrently with the Darwin Initiative. We have a second Darwin Initiative, which was a supplemental grant given to us to continue the work that was initiated originally from 2019 to 2022. And so this is really integrating local government and community conservation capacity for snow leopards. And so this is a continuation of the program that was started and in collaboration with the One Health Initiative. And this is focusing on the Mustang and Manong districts of Annapurna, and really establishing these partnerships with these municipalities that are based on mutual interests in sustainable development and snow leopard conservation initiatives in these 3 rural municipalities. And all these partners have been actively involved in the planning, decision-making processes with our local partners, with Mountain Spirit, that are leading this program. And this does include working with them using the appreciative participatory planning and action process along the way. And so some of these new objectives for the next that we're currently working on into the next year, establishing livestock cooperatives, streamlining insurance and compensation schemes, and also doing entrepreneurial training with the communities on different enterprises such as ecotourism and different aspects of bakery and lots of different skills, so that the communities have different options to raise additional incomes in addition to livestock husbandry. And we've been working on the local jimbu production, branding it for conservation, and it's currently in market chain testing, going from Phu into Kathmandu markets. And then working on the co-development of 23 predator-proof goths that are currently in production in this area, but more fox-like distribution, and training herders on best practices for guarding and rotational grazing to minimize interactions with snow leopards and the impact on snow leopards and wildlife prey and their wild prey. And the other main component of this program, which I wish I had more time to talk about, but I know I'm almost out of time, is the education component. And we're working with Tika Samua in Nepal, led by Mr. Anil Adhikari, on reviving the Snow Leopard Scouts program, which was originally very successful through Dr. Sam Ali, who used to be the Nepal program director with Snow Leopard Conservancy, and on a grade school curriculum program, Snow Leopard curriculum program, which is from the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students, and those include a Scouts program, which includes both girls and boys, getting them into the field to learn about wildlife monitoring and learn about ecology and be able to check camera traps and become the citizen scientists to be additional eyes and ears and guardians on the ground and become our next conservation leaders for not just snow leopards, but for all of the amazing species in this high mountain ecosystem. And, our goal is to, we have a large education focus at Snow Leopard Conservancy with students on the ecological, spiritual, and cultural initiatives across the range. And our goal for this is to be fun and to connect the students with nature and give them the skills skills and knowledge so that they can make choices in their lives and careers and hopefully also become conservationists in all their own ways. And just one last mention is that we are expanding our Snow Leopard Land of the Snow Leopard Network program, and we're also working with Indigenous cultural practitioners in Nepal and across Central Asia. And so Maria Asunova is going to be talking about this coming up later this year, and so I'll let her focus on that initiative. But the whole goal is making sure that Indigenous traditional knowledge is transferred between generations, and snow leopards are revived as the sacred totem species that they are throughout this whole incredible range. And so, just to tie it all together, improving the health and well-being of people in these areas and improving the health of the domestic animals that they completely rely on, and reducing zoonotic diseases will also help us save snow leopards and the other wildlife in this area. And underappreciated wolves and species like Pallas's cats. And so this is just one of the initiatives that we're working on, and it's new. So love to report back to you all on how things are going in the next year, and hopefully in the future be able to continue on across the range. So thank you so much for all of your valuable time and attention, and I'd love to hear any questions and comments that you have.
Thank you, Ashley. That was such a nice and rich presentation.
Thank you.
I love the pictures, and in particular, I loved how you brought in the grumpy old cousin of the snow leopard towards the end, the Pallas cat. Fascinating. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Not surprisingly, we do have quite a few questions. Let me quickly take the ones on the comment section, and then I'll come to a few hands that have been raised.
This is my email address as well. If we run out of time and you want to email me directly, please feel free to reach out.
Of course. And I'm gonna, by the powers vested in me, I'm gonna I'm gonna take the conversation longer for at least another 10 minutes, if that's all right with everyone. Thank you, Rocky, for allowing me to push the meeting for another 10 minutes. So the first question I'd like to talk about I'd like to mention here is by Sita Alexander. She's asking, what is something you think that outside perspectives might struggle to understand about the difficulty of snow leopard conservation? For instance, political barriers, government restrictions, public local backlash, and so on.
Yeah, it's very multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, as Kusab could also go on and on about as well with his role working with the Global Snow Leopard Ecosystem Protection Program range-wide. And so conservation really happens at all levels, and it really involves all of us. And so the challenges are always, there's always new challenges and new opportunities. And I think that you outlined several there. I think, a lot of the socio-ecological challenges are some of the hardest to overcome in conservation, being that some of the, that a lot of, we're not exactly working very integrated and interdisciplinary yet at all levels. And so some of the challenges include diverting resources, when we have these major events and conflict, human to human conflict that happen around the world. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we're dealing with now. But I think, addressing each of these aspects in their own right, lack of awareness, through education, and lack of opportunities and economic opportunities. But, I'm always inspired by the people that we work with that live in these communities. It is such a difficult place, and all very, very, very special place in the world. But I think that, I find resiliency in all of the people that we meet and that we work with. And so there's a lot of challenges, but with all of the great organizations that are involved in the Snow Leopard Network, everybody has, an aspect of snow leopard conservation that they work on. And many of these organizations work on on lots of different aspects. So lots of different challenges, but also a lot of opportunities.
Of course. So Andre has one question, which is about the source of the term One Welfare that you used. Is it something that you've come up with, or it's something that's being widely used elsewhere? I think it
No,
will
that's a
just
good
help. Maybe you can just
question.
put the source down in the chat if that's easier.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it wasn't on the slide. I'll have to try to
No
find that
problem.
for you quickly. But there's different concepts that are One Health is become a global concept now, but One Welfare is a relatively new concept. And so I think that understanding it based on it's difficult because it is quite comprehensive to think about all of these different aspects that go into welfare, and ethics and social justice and all of the different aspects that go into it. So there are different models, and if you did search for it, you will see there are some different interpretations of it. And fortunately, we do have this high-level One Health panel globally, but I don't believe there's an official group yet for One Welfare.
Excellent.
Good question.
Flavia's asking if there's any news of the use and results of the new vet techniques that have been shared with the local communities and elsewhere. Any updates? I'm sure you are monitoring them, but any updates that you would like to share, or maybe we can wait for those.
Yeah, so we do have this WhatsApp group that's continued with all of the junior technicians and assistants with the Nepali vets, and so we do know that they do send us depredation incidences, which they're working with ACAP, to work on compensation and understand. But as far as the feedback that we got from them is that they do want more training, they want more continuing education opportunities, as almost all of us do as well, right? It's learning is important for all of us, and so we are continuing to stay in contact with them on the questions that they have. A lot of that is on dosage for medicines, and ideally we would have a permanent vet that's in the area that's able to support them, and so that is a really important initiative for this area, is really trying to get some permanent veterinarians that are able to stay and support their works. They're doing a phenomenal job. They have limited experience, of course, with the level of training, and some of the challenges that they face every day are just beyond, or they need support and treating these animals, and especially with some of the surgical procedures that should be using anesthesia.
So this, in fact, as recently as last Friday, we had a wonderful workshop being hosted by Nepal on the how multiple organizations are coming together to help come up with the snow leopard numbers there. And that's there. I remember someone mentioned that how Nepal has been a leader in many a research and many a conservation pilots. So we do have a question which is related to it, which is about any difficulties in accessing communities or permits to work in some of these remote areas in Nepal. Anything you'd like to share on that front?
Difficulty in terms of, we work with Department of National Parks and Wildlife Conservation on all the permittation, and of course with National Trust for Nature Conservation, who manages Annapurna Conservation Area. But as far as difficulties, the challenges, of course, with this ever-changing landscape with landslides and access is always a challenge, and we're seeing more and more of that, unfortunately, with climate change, the high mountains and flooding. So there's always challenges, but sometimes things take a lot longer. But to do it in a way that is collaborative and really working in true partnership with the organizations, they're just parts of this extra considerations and patience working on some of these initiatives. We may have expectations that it might go one way, or we might do it on a certain timeline to meet a grant requirement, but it never works out like that, and we have to be very adaptive and use creative problem solving.
Totally. I agree with that. Okay, so we do have one hand raised. Andre, would you like to unmute yourself and please ask your question?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Kosto, for moderating this, and Ashley for the wonderful presentation. I'm for the first time using Zoom on my iPhone, so it suddenly switched me to a safe driving mode. I have no clue how to switch back to the non-driving mode, but at least you can hear me. So I can easily fill another 40 minutes with Q&A with you, Ashley. There are so many things that I would like to discuss, so probably it merits I'll reach out to you and Kostov, of course, for some continuation of this conversation on how you capture the kind of the golden nuggets of new innovation that your program is really like a petri dish of innovation in various things, I'm hopeful that you will further work with Kostov as his program is developing, all the best solutions and best practices and how they are realized at various localities and communities. So first, I will follow up with you for more, but for today, I have one maybe short and kind of factual question, which will help us further discuss these things. So the program that you described today, the Darwin Initiative funded program with various partners, you mentioned at the beginning that you are very conscious of making sure that there is co-ownership and co-investment on the part of the, I suppose, municipalities and local communities. So can you give us a ballpark estimation of, well, how much money, how much money was being brought in from the outside by your group, by other partners, on a, I don't know, per annum basis or for the duration of the program, and how much you are estimating your host, your counterparts have been contributing, and to what extent you see is there hope for sustainability of what you infused in your best practice international knowledge, that it will stay there and it will not end with the end of the funding cycle of the program. So that's, how much money you brought and how much you see as a co-financing coming in, and do you see hope for sustainability? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Andre. Very, very good question. And yes, I absolutely intend to collaborate with Kustab and the others in the Snow Leopard network that are working on these initiatives across the range. So as far as financing and co-ownership, and so the Darwin Initiative, I believe that grant was it was supposed to be for 3 years. It ended up being over the course of 4 years because of an extension because of the pandemic. And I think the total investment was around $250,000 over the course of those 4 years. However, so the co-investment at the grassroots level with the municipality, I'd have to, definitely dive into that and look, because it was across different areas. The original one was working in the Everest area, and then also in Annapurna, so across those 2 different areas. But in terms of co-investment with the community, this can look different things. So the community members themselves, like maybe this means working with them on building the corral together, and they do the masonry and they bring the stones and they help develop the design of the corral, and they help build the corral. And some of the materials are supplied by them and some are supplied by us. Now with Jimbu, the municipality, Narpabuma municipality, co-financed 40% of that program from the start. And so that is more or less like the model that we look at doing, is what investment is able to be offered by each of the different stakeholders working in the community on each of these things, whether it's building a predator-proof corral or working on an ecotourism initiative or the Jimbu cultivation and agricultural products. So it depends, but with the One Health initiative, One Health, One Welfare initiative, we're looking at we're trying to work with the municipalities on all co-investing in that, because one municipality is not able to fund a valley-wide dog vaccination and sterilization campaign or livestock vaccination campaign. But if they all pool in resources, say 40% or less, whatever they're able to do, but we're able to provide more NGO support to implement that work, then it's going to be far more effective at controlling these zoonotic diseases. And so we're looking at the investment will change depending on what each of the intervention is. But as far as this is an effective long-term model in terms of really making them less reliant on us, more long-term, making them more self-reliant from the start, because we have, of course, limited funding, and so we really want to help build their skills and technical skills so that they're able to continue the work and do the policy planning on their own and make these, do the planning on their own and implement it on their own down the road. And so we're helping kind of guide that with, from the start. But it's been an effective tool in the past, an effective approach in the past. So specific amounts, I'd have to follow up with you on that, Andre, but about 40% in terms of co-investment from the municipalities.
Okay, super, thanks. We'll follow up. Thank you.
Okay, yes, thanks. Please email me. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, thank you. I have one small question, and just before we end, since we don't seem to have more. So Ashley, I mean, these initiatives, especially to improve attitudes towards other predators, tolerance of other causes of mortality to livestock, and hence their livelihoods. So are you also tracking or keeping some sort of a metric or a monitoring metric of people's attitudes towards conflict or other the attitudes towards the wild predators?
Yes, I'm sorry I didn't highlight that well enough during the presentation. That's a great question, and thank you for tying that all in together. Absolutely, that is. So the original survey that was done by Dr. Johnny Hansen that was published, there is a follow-up that's in press that was a follow-up survey. And I think the original one, he went out in 2018, 2019, and then the second one was from 2021, 2022. So there is a follow-up survey, and absolutely, I think that's, one of the best ways that we can measure, these interventions in relation to how we're building coexistence and guardianship with the communities. But yeah, and so each of the households that were originally surveyed in the first study, I believe, were studied in the second one. However, the Everest area was not included in the second Darwin initiative. So the results will be a little bit different. But yeah, I wasn't able to go into all of the detail on that with the published paper, but it's very interesting. And if you search for Hansen 2022, that'll pull up more details on those attitudes. It's always a work in progress, but yes, and even from one valley to the next, the Foo community is far more tolerant to snow leopards than the Nor community. So there's major differences just across, one valley to the next, one day's walk to the next. So, and that, of course, as we know, it varies completely from retribution and retaliation to guardianship, all the way across the gamut. So yes, we definitely employ a theory of change with our work as a key indicator.
Excellent. Okay, I think if I take another minute, Raki is going to be very upset, and so will the virus, and of course the wonderful people who have joined us today. I'm sure we all have things waiting for us. But yeah, just want to say thank you, Ashley. This was a wonderful presentation showing the entire breadth of the work that you're leading for the Snow Leopard Conservancy and the other partners in Nepal. Very exciting, and it's just so wonderful how snow leopard conservation is not just about one species, it's about the entire diversity and also people, right? I often say when someone's challenging why should we invest in snow leopard conservation, end of the day, every penny goes to the people. That's where it goes. That's where the money goes. Not a single penny goes to the pocket of the snow leopard, right? Anyway, I think this is wonderful. Thank you so very much for doing this webinar for us. And as Andre mentioned, there'll be a lot of questions, I'm sure, coming in. So please be on a standby, on a lookout for those. Thank you so much. And everyone have a
Wonderful.
very
Thank you
good
so
day,
much.
good evening, good night. We'll see you soon with the next webinar, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much, Kosub and Ashley. Thank you, everyone.